Everyone was surprised by how strong Canute was. At that moment, Canute thought, since devouring you would poison me, I'll just crush you with my massive size advantage. Then, Sakuraba from the Eclipsed Moon Group spread his arms to activate his ability. Canute, I'm here to help you. Once his ability was activated, everyone immediately felt much heavier, and some non-melee mutants could hardly move. However, unexpectedly, the worst affected in the arena was not them, but the enormous Canute. Wu Di laughed at this sight. Such a strong gravity enhancement is indiscriminate, which is a disaster for a behemoth like Canute. Daiko Kai might adapt to extreme gravity with strength training, but Canute could not. After all, his weight was far beyond the human range by then. Realizing he might have actually made things worse, Sakuraba, before he could react, Canute had already bitten him in half and then swallowed him whole. After swallowing Sakuraba, Canute began to show signs of recovery. Even the horrific wounds left by Zhang Yi were healing at a visible rate. Wu Di warned everyone, be careful, this guy can heal himself by devouring mutants. At that moment, Yi stepped forward, controlling the shadow under his feet, which quickly extended out, merging with Canute's huge shadow, and then hundreds of black thorns burst out of the ground's shadow, fiercely stabbing at Canute. But Canute leapt up, easily dodging the shadowfall thorns. At the same time, Wu Di launched a fierce floating cannon, and with their coordination, Canute let out a pained howl. Yang Xinxin took the chance to shoot an arrow, hitting him directly in the back. This arrow made Canute more cautious. This arrow is almost harmless to me. What is this girl doing? Without time to think further, Canute charged at Wu Di again, because among these people, only Wu Di had truly hurt him. As he opened his huge mouth and pounced towards Wu Di, at the critical moment, Kong Shing stood out. He is the only melee mutant in the team, and only he can directly block Canute. But when he saw Kong Shing standing in front, a mocking smirk flashed in Canute's eyes. The one I actually want to kill is you. Surprised? Once you, the Iron Man, are down, the rest will be easy to handle, won't they? With a loud boom, Kong Sheng, who faced Canute head-on, was blasted into the ground. After the dust settled, people found that Kong Sheng's body had been severed into two. He ultimately couldn't withstand Canute's powerful strike. At this moment, the members of the Heavenly Dog Squad felt somewhat desolate, but now they had no time for sorrow. Wu Di looked troubled. Now that Zhang Yi is held back by Huan and Shinguji, he can't possibly come to support them, and Bailey, Changqing and Liang Yu are also restrained. What should they do? However, what they didn't know was, at that moment, Shinguji, who had been protecting Mayumi, suddenly revealed a cunning smile. He couldn't help but mutter, finally completed. The next moment, he and his Shikigami leaped down to join Canute's battlefield. When Shinguji abandoned protecting Mayumi to support Canute, Zhang Yi's eyes suddenly sharpened. Could it be that the Shrine Maiden has already been successfully transferred, or has the Shrine Maiden already lost her value? Without hesitation, Zhang Yi raised his gun and shot the Shrine Maiden directly in the forehead. But this time, Huan's face showed no worry. Instead, he mockingly released a swarm of karmic fire crows at him. Zhang Yi could only use spatial teleportation to dodge the crow attack, while his eyes continuously scanned the battlefield. He knew the Shrine Maiden must still be on the battlefield, otherwise, she wouldn't be able to boost her powers to Huan. But now the entire battlefield was in chaos, with people and bodies everywhere, making it impossible to find Mayumi's hiding spot in the short term. Just then, Huan suddenly leaped from the Azure Bird, rushing towards Yang Xinxin like a cannonball, fiercely shouting, "Take your time looking, I'm going to kill your woman first." However, at this moment, Zhang Yi uncharacteristically started laughing. "I was hesitating about whether to implement that plan, but now that you've made the choice for me, don't blame me." At this time, Flower also noticed Huan descending from the sky, carrying a sky full of fire crows diving down like a rain of beads. However, the next moment, Zhang Yi used spatial teleportation to instantly appear beside Yang Xinxin, and then, right in front of Huan, he opened a huge spatial gate, successfully sucking Huan in. Zhang Yi then closed the dimensional space's gate. Beside him, Yang Xinxin looked excitedly at Zhang Yi. "Brother Zhang Yi." But Zhang Yi told her, "I haven't won. I've only trapped him temporarily. Huan cannot be killed. With his karmic fire ability, he will eventually break through my own dimension. Now I can no longer wield the power of space, so I must race against time." Zhang Yi's gaze then turned to Shinguji on the battlefield. "Start killing." With that, Zhang Yi once again gathered the power of the void in his hands. Shinguji knew he must not be hit. Even Canute with his defensive level could be severely injured. As a non-melee mutant, if he were hit, it would undoubtedly be fatal. He leaped onto the Azure Bird without hesitation. However, Zhang Yi would not give him time to escape. At this moment, the power of the void had taken shape. Precision shooting initiated. Zhang Yi aimed in Shinguji's direction and fiercely hurled it out. The huge spherical domain had completely sealed off Shinguji's escape range. Shinguji's eyes nearly split. He could only summon Shikigami to resist with a hardened resolve. Those who confront soldiers are arrayed in the front, but how could a few guerrillas possibly hold back the spear of the void? In an instant, his defenses were completely shattered. With a loud boom, he burst into the air like fireworks. Zhang Yi took out supernatural food to replenish his energy. Watching such a dazzling fireworks show, Zhang Yi couldn't help but sigh in his heart. What a pity. Such a powerful mutant was blasted into dust. It was a waste not to be able to absorb his essence. But just at this moment, Wu Di suddenly showed a terrified expression. "Look!" To Zhang Yi's surprise, The previously uncontrollably violent Canute had suddenly turned into a love-struck fool. It seems that Yang Xinxin's arrow of desire had taken effect. This way, 2 troublesome opponents had been dealt with. Now, they just need to resolve all troubles before Huan breaks free. At this time, Zhang Yi looked towards the battlefield of Bailey Changqing and Daiko Kai, where the close combat between 2 powerful melee experts was violent and bloody. With the enhancement of compound number 5, Bailey Changqing was able to continuously overpower Daiko Kai, but Daiko Kai's defensive capabilities were also astonishing. Despite being beaten beyond recognition, no fatal injuries appeared. If the fight continued this way, it was likely that Daiko Kai wouldn't be killed, but Bailey Changqing might risk his life due to overexertion. Thinking this, Zhang Yi took out his remarkably powerful sniper rifle and with a bang, shot towards the inner thigh of Daiko Kai. The next second was marked by Daiko Kai's heart-wrenching scream. Bailey Changqing looked at Daiko Kai's blood-drenched lower body and instinctively covered his own groin. That kind of pain is something no man would want to experience. From a distance, Zhang Yi coldly said, "Even if your defense is strong, that area can't be toughened, right?" Bailey Changqing seized the opportunity to attack, chopping directly towards Daiko Kai's head. Although the halberd deeply cut into his neck, it was caught by his muscles, and then he pushed away with one hand and started to flee. Zhang Yi, frowning, said, "Such body-trained mutants are really hard to kill." At the same time, he quickly and decisively reloaded and aimed again, shooting directly at the bend of his knee. Daiko Kai fell to the ground in a sorry state. Bailey Changqing took the opportunity to counterattack, stabbing fiercely into Daiko Kai's back. Daiko Kai cried out, "Where's the team leader? Why aren't you helping me?" Zhang Yi also told Bailey Changqing, "Make it quick, I can't trap Huan for long." At this moment, Bailey Changqing also felt he couldn't last much longer. Perhaps inspired by Zhang Yi, suddenly, with a wicked expression, he stabbed directly towards Daiko Kai's rear. After all, as the old saying goes, even the strongest man has soft intestines. Bailey Changqing lifted Daiko Kai high, the halberd piercing deeply into his body, like a skewer of barbecue. Meanwhile, Yang Xinxin was also pondering Zhang Yi's words. Although the current battle situation was in their favor, the outlook was not optimistic. Once Huan breaks free, they would still face great danger. They must find the Shrine Maiden first. At this moment, Meng Xiu walked over. "Leave the searching to me." After saying this, she activated her ability. Soon, she located Mayumi's hiding place, pointing towards a container area at Morning Dew Harbor, where she and a mutant from Eclipsed Moon were hiding. After finding Mayumi's hiding spot, Shui Miao and Yi volunteered. As assassins, they were most skilled at handling such situations. Then, Zhang Yi's gaze shifted to another battlefield. Liang Yu and Kamamoto's final battle was still too close to call. Zhang Yi instinctively raised his sniper rifle and aimed at Kamamoto, but he hesitated before pulling the trigger, thinking it was a fair duel between warriors. If he were to take a cold shot at Kamamoto at this moment, it would indeed create an excellent opportunity for Liang Yu, but for Liang Yu, such a victory would not be honorable, and it might even become her inner demon. However, a moment later, Zhang Yi smiled slightly. He decided not to shoot, just activated the precision shooting capability, locking onto the back of Kamamoto's head. Being targeted by a team leader, that kind of feeling is enough to unsettle anyone, especially a strong warrior like Kamamoto. His instincts were sharper, so the moment Zhang Yi aimed, he had already sensed it, and in that moment of distraction, Liang Yu seized the opportunity. Her blade was swift and fierce. Even though he blocked Liang Yu's attack with his sword, the force of the blade was not as confident and powerful as before. Kamamoto's sword shattered with a clink. With a puff, Dragon's Roar sliced directly from his left shoulder to his right abdomen, eliminating any possibility of continuing the fight. Liang Yu took advantage of the moment to decapitate him with a backhanded stroke, then coldly stated, "The so-called ancient swordsmanship is already outdated. Those immersed in history are stagnant, yet forget to look ahead at the path in front of them. How can they be considered masters?" Liang Yu brought Kamamoto's head to Zhang Yi, but Zhang Yi coldly said, "The real fierce battle has just begun. I can barely suppress Huan anymore." Once everyone had gathered, Zhang Yi opened the dimension and released Huan, who had been imprisoned for a few minutes. He then quickly left the battlefield using spatial teleportation, deciding to leave the upcoming fight to others. He knew very well the first person Huan would want to kill is him, so for now, he would avoid his edge. The freshly freed Huan looked bewildered, although from the outside it seemed he was only trapped for a few minutes, but the flow of time in Zhang Yi's dimension is completely different from reality. In that world, the time he mentally endured felt like decades. Decades as if in one day, with nothing but a vast white dimension in front of him. Now he had forgotten many things, but he quickly began to clear his thoughts. "I am Huan, the leader of Eclipsed Moon. I must capture the central plains of Country Hua to secure a livable land for the landing faction during the apocalypse, and now I must first kill a man named Zhang Yi." At that moment, under Bailey Changqing's command, several of them charged towards Huan. Canute, under Yang Xinxin's control, also joined the fight. The 3 deputy team leaders surrounded Huan. Zhang Yi hid behind a container and lit a cigarette. Xiao Honglian also asked for one. Xiao Honglian asked, "Can they handle it?" Zhang Yi said indifferently, "He doesn't know how many times he died in my dimension, which also consumes a lot of energy. If they work together, there shouldn't be a problem, but as soon as he finished speaking, a huge body fell from above their heads. It was Canut's body. Xing Tian couldn't help but say, "It seems the situation is not optimistic." Zhang Yi took a deep breath and said, "This is bad." He had only considered Huan's energy consumption, not realizing that Bailey Changqing and Liang Yu also had serious injuries. All you could hear was Huan roaring in the battlefield. "Burn, karmic fire." His teammates were dead. Now he wants to kill all members of the Heavenly Dog Squad to accompany them in death. He laughed wildly. "As long as I'm alive, we haven't lost. Everything can start over. Eclipsed moon will never fall." Huan's body was burning with red flames. That's the karmic fire that even mutants dare not touch. Once contaminated, it would be as difficult to dispel as bone. Zhang Yi prepared to take out his sniper rifle to shoot him, but ultimately dismissed the idea. Killing him once would be futile. We must find a way to seal him. At this moment, Zhang Yi glanced at the time. It had been 37 minutes since the battle started. Why hasn't the reincarnation squad arrived yet? Weren't they supposed to be here within 30 minutes? They wouldn't be hoping for us to die and then come to pick up the pieces, would they? A cold smile appeared on Zhang Yi's lips. He completely gave up on the plan to wait for support. He said to the AI system, "Reconnect to Blizzard City." At this time, Zhang Yi didn't trust headquarters, because there might still be a mole there, but since Gao Changkong wanted him dead, he didn't mind slinging some mud first. Once connected, Zhang Yi directly told Zhu Zheng, "The reincarnation squad didn't arrive on time. Gao Changkong is likely a mole." These words made Zhu Zheng's eyes widen. Impossible. How could our investigation team leader collude with the mirror-eclipsed moon Ronin? What reason would he have? Zhang Yi calmly said, "Punctuality is the iron rule of the investigation team. They said half an hour, but they are so late. There is only one reason. That is, they are colluding with eclipsed moon to put me in danger." Zhu Zheng responded coolly and calmly, "We will definitely investigate his case thoroughly. I will contact the reincarnation squad immediately. But now there is only Huan left as an enemy. I hope you eliminate him at all costs." Hearing this, Zhang Yi chuckled to himself. At all costs? Whose costs? Certainly not mine. Meanwhile, Huan was nearly delirious. With a karate chop, sniper Qi Guangming was split into two halves. Then he attacked the powerless Meng Xiu. Meng Xiu's face immediately turned deathly pale. At the critical moment, Canute returned to the battlefield and forcibly blocked his punch. If this continues, Heavenly Dog Squad's Lu Yinghao would be like a little chick, picked up by Huan with one hand. Huan shouted angrily, "Zhang Yi, get out here." Zhang Yi heard everything clearly from a distance, but if he goes out now, he would be the first to die. He quickly asked his team, "Has the witch been found?" At this moment, Yi He and Shui Yi stood in front of Shi Zhugo's corpse. Mayumi knelt on the ground, her face filled with terror. "The witch has been found. Should we kill her?" After capturing Mayumi, Yi He without a word punched the woman. To prevent her from committing suicide, he shoved a gun into her mouth and then pressed her next to Zhang Yi. "Captain, how should we deal with this woman? She was thrown to the ground like a broken sack." Zhang Yi called over Yang Xinxin. Xinxin hit her with an arrow of desire. Yang Xinxin immediately understood and instantly turned the woman into her slave. At this point, Mayumi's way of looking at Yang Xinxin changed. Yang Xinxin squatted down and asked, "Tell me everything about Huan. How can he be killed?" At this moment, Yang Xinxin is the only person in the world she trusts and relies on. She sincerely told Yang Xinxin, "He is unkillable. Even with just a drop of blood left, he can regenerate. To kill him, you would have to deplete all of his essence, but that would require him to die 10,000 times." At this, everyone fell silent. Yang Xinxin calmly asked, "Is there any other way?" Takeuchi Mayumi sincerely responded, "Yes, master. Let him kill himself. Only he can destroy himself." Chun Lei was somewhat frantic upon hearing this. How is that possible? He's not insane. But at this moment, Zhang Yi threw away his cigarette butt. "Let's do it this way." Everyone looked at Zhang Yi in surprise. "Captain, do you have an idea?" Zhang Yi looked at Mayumi and smiled. "Controlling this woman means we've already won half the battle." On the battlefield at that moment, Huan was putting immense pressure on the Heavenly Dog Squad. If it weren't for Bailey Changqing and Liang Yu fighting desperately, more than just two people might have died. As Yang Xinxin issued her command, a wave of energy suddenly dissipated around Huan. It was then that he suddenly remembered he seemed to have a partner named Takeuchi Mayumi. Now he could no longer see the future. At that moment, a voice rang out from the sky. Zhang Yi had returned to the battlefield once again. Huan looked up and saw Zhang Yi's face, which he loathed deeply. "Zhang Yi, I'm going to kill you." With that, he soared into the sky like a cannonball, punching towards Zhang Yi. But Zhang Yi easily dodged in midair. With a backhanded shot, he directly pierced Huan's forehead. The reborn Huan, incredulous, said, "How could your bullet possibly hit me?" Zhang Yi hovered in midair, his body now streaked with a blood-red pattern. The ability to foresee the future, given to you by your good partner Takeuchi Mayumi, has now been transferred to me. I can now see 5 seconds into your future, so no matter how you try to dodge, it's useless. After shooting through Huan again, members of the Heavenly Dog Squad quickly surrounded him. Streams of purple smoke began spraying at his body. That was liquid nitrogen, which can quickly cool any object down to over 100 degrees below zero, even locking the state of cells. This was the method the Heavenly Dog Squad came up with to deal with Huan. Under the cooling effect of the liquid nitrogen, Huan's body was instantly frozen into a white ice sculpture. After sealing Huan with liquid nitrogen, just 2 seconds seconds later, a blazing red flame rose again, and Huan was reborn from the fire. But Zhang Yi was not panicked at all. The blood-given ability now provided him with the power to foresee the future. Even without the enhancement of spatial abilities, he could easily kill Huan. Zhang Yi calmly reloaded his bullets. Now each shot could hit with precision, almost as if Huan was intentionally catching bullets with his head. However, Huan's state was still frenzied. He was confident he was an immortal being, unaware that Zhang Yi already had a plan in mind. Under Mayumi's guidance, Yang Xinxin shot him the moment Huan's body was being reshaped with an arrow of evil monk. The newly revived Huan felt an arrow had pierced his chest. Though there was no pain, there was a strong sense of crisis. Indeed, a powerful and uncontrollable self-loathing emotion began to surge. He began to recall his childhood. From a young age he was a born ring species. Tormenting stray cats and dogs was his greatest joy, and after awakening his powers, he had killed countless people. At this moment, Huan's chest was in extreme pain. He suddenly cried out in repentance. What have I done in my life? How can I atone for such great sins? I'm sorry for being born human. Then Yang Xinxin walked over. Then end it yourself. At this moment, Huan had lost the will to live. He broke down crying. Just kill me. With his convictions abandoned, Huan's defensive abilities greatly decreased. Zhang Yi took out the Holy Judgment Blade, and with the power of space, he directly chopped off Huan's head. Everyone held their breath, not knowing if Huan would be reborn from the flames. Zhang Yi asked Yang Xinxin to inquire with Mayumi how to be sure he was truly dead. Mayumi honestly said, his immortality ability activates at the moment of death. It's been over 10 seconds now. That means he hasn't used his power. He is truly dead. At this, a burst of intense cheers erupted at the scene. The command center was also cheering. Even the usually stern Zhu Jing was instantly overjoyed. Zhang Yi, that kid, finally didn't let me down. Behind him, Sun Luxuan was somewhat speechless, thinking to himself, it seems like you didn't have much expectation for Zhang Yi from the start. At this time, Zhang Yi picked up Huan's head and began to absorb its essence. Watching this, Sun Luxuan also felt some admiration. This kid is indeed a good seed. His potential is probably even greater than several of the investigation team leaders. Meanwhile, Zhu Jing suddenly furrowed his brows. He suddenly remembered Zhang Yi telling him that Gao Changkong was Blizzard City's mole. But why would Gao Changkong betray Blizzard City? He has no reason to cooperate with Eclipsed Moon. He immediately instructed Lan Xinqing to contact the Reincarnation Squad. Tell them not to go to Heavenly Sea City anymore. Come straight back to Blizzard City. Also, have Zhang Yi and his team rest on site. After such a hard fight, they must be very tired. Luckily, Heavenly Sea City is his hometown. He can go back there to rest. Lan Xinqing praised. General Zhu really cares for his subordinates. However, at this moment, a sneer appeared on Lan Xinqing's lips. She looked down on Gao Changkong and the Reincarnation Squad internally. In her view, no matter how strong Gao Changkong is, he's just from the lower class of Area E. His team members are mostly the same, while she is recognized as a noble in Blizzard City due to her inherent class arrogance. And because they hadn't done anything on this mission, Lan Xinqing thought to herself that she must ridicule them properly when they return. But just as she reached the window, she suddenly realized the Reincarnation Squad had already arrived at the command center downstairs. Lan Xinqing was shocked. She hadn't even started notifying them yet. How could Gao Changkong have returned so quickly? What is he preparing to do? Could it really be as Zhang Yi said, that he is a mole? Now is the time when Blizzard City's defenses are weakest. The other investigation teams haven't returned yet. If they really were to rebel at this time, it would be over. Lan Xinqing immediately sprinted back to report to Zhu Jing. Zhu Jing was also shocked upon hearing this, but upon checking the surveillance footage, the Reincarnation Squad indeed appeared at the command center downstairs, and they were missing Chen Xiaojing, who can disguise anything. So those appearing in Coastal City are likely just others disguised as the Reincarnation Squad. It's possible that Gao Changkong and his team never left here. Zhu Jing immediately notified everyone. Don't let anyone from the Reincarnation Squad upstairs. Immediately activate the building's defense system and call for city guards to come for support. The Reincarnation Squad has mutinied. At this time, alarms in the command center were continuously sounding, and the defense system was quickly elevated to the highest level. Meanwhile, outside Zhang Yi's shelter in Heavenly Sea City, several women were anxiously waiting for Zhang Yi to return. Zhang Yi and a few others were leisurely walking back. Except for Liang Yu, who had some injuries, the others were virtually unharmed. After Zhang Yi absorbed Huan's essence, his ability in spatial dimensions had largely recovered. Just as they arrived at the shelter, several women gathered around. The house had already prepared a full table of drinks and food to celebrate their victorious return. Yang Xinxin happily narrated the entire process of killing Ronin, and also mentioned how cute the big blue shark was. Chunlei also started to boast in front of the women, claiming how significant his blizzard ability had been. Uncle Yu directly teased him with a big scoff. What are you boasting about? Weren't you the one who hid the farthest? This scene brought everyone to hearty laughter. At this moment, the gloom in everyone's hearts was instantly swept away. Everyone joyfully raised their glasses together, toasting to a peaceful life. Manhwa is shown as concluded. If the manhwa resumes updates, I will update it immediately. Thank you everyone.